So what is the best advice that you have ever received as an artist? Or maybe just as a human being?
Hey, um, yeah. Um, don't let anyone diminish who you are or diminish your light. That's it. That's the best advice I've ever gotten. Because you find that a lot of people, um, eh, both inside of my circle and outside of the circle, even people who've commented on my TikToks, you'll find that there are people who try and diminish what you're doing. And so you just have to press on and keep going. So yeah, I that I think that's the best advice I've ever been given as don't diminish your light.
And
Yeah.
don't let anyone diminish your light. I love that. That's a really,
Yeah.
really useful piece of advice that anyone anyway needs to always carry inside of their head and
Yeah.
remember. Because I think maybe it's also a matter of not knowing whether this what a person is saying to you, whether it's meant to build you up or to tear you down. So you have to be sure that each and every time you're asking yourself, is this meant to diminish me or to allow me to flourish? If it's meant to
Yeah.
diminish me, if it doesn't build me in any way, bye. you
No,
know.
it's true. Yeah, because you don't know. Because if you, I believe, if you allow somebody to diminish your light or who you are, you don't know how your light is illuminating somebody else's.
Mhm.
And somebody, by illuminating somebody else's light, somebody else's life, they could be illuminating somebody else's life. And so if that chain is broken one way or another, you know, then there's just darkness, you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you don't know who could be watching you and taking your light to ignite their own. Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely. And what is the worst advice that you've ever received that you'll be like, if to someone, if ever someone tells you this, ignore it, erase, look for something, ban it, whatever, crush it, whatever it is.
Uh, this is something I bumped into on TikTok. Um, uh, Somebody made the comment of "You're too old for this," or "Aren't you too old for this?" And it's not just TikTok, but in other things that I've done, age becomes a factor because people are like, "Yeah, you're funny, but don't you think you should be more mature about what you're doing or
Just
going
ridiculous.
into it?" Yeah, it is. But the thing is, like I said before,
Mm-hmm.
the advice that I got: don't let anybody diminish your light, and and um, and that's what enables me to plow through such comments, you know, because in people saying, in one person saying that, there are 10 or 20 people saying, "Oh, you've made my day," like what you were saying. You've made my day. Your content is keeping me sane, or thank you, I needed this today, or yeah. So it's a rewarding um, thing to hear people say stuff like that.
Mm.
And so when you get negative comments, it's more like, you're just one out of 20. So
You're just
I'm
a
not saying like, yeah, not
uh,
saying
uh,
there were 20 people saying that, then I'll be like,
mm,
hey, baby. Nah,
mm,
I don't, to be honest, I'm
mm,
not bothered. I don't really care. You
mm-hmm,
know what? I may be
mm,
80 or 90 years old, but I'll
mm-hmm.
still be who I am. You know
You'll
what I
still
mean?
be you, and you'll still be doing the things that you love. And unfortunately, there is this myth that people are sold that there's a certain way of adulting or of being an adult, that when you get to a certain age, these are the things that you're expected to do. and this is a way you're supposed to combat yourself, which is absolutely ridiculous, because you have to live according to your values and to your principles. And if your values are making people laugh and making them enjoy life, or navigate through the difficulties of life through laughter, through entertainment, then anything else is just absolute nonsense.
Yeah, white noise.
It's just no, exactly, white noise. White noise indeed. So what are you reading right now? I do know that you read. I know you read.
Because of work, I'm reading this.
Oh yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's the complete works of William Shakespeare, right?
Yeah. But it's just mainly because of it. But I'm not reading the whole thing. I'm just going through it. But reading wise, I was don't judge. I was reading the new Harry Potter book / script, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I think it's been made into a play. So I just read.
I'm not judging. I'm envious. Well, how is it like? Tell me. Don't tell me what happens in the book, because I hate that. I hate spoilers in terms of books I'm reading, or movies I'm yet to watch, or series I'm yet to watch. So tell me about the experience. Don't tell me the plot.
I mean, it's an interesting read. It's not the same as the previous books, so completely take that out of your brain. But yeah, it's an experience. It's a very good, very dark, but it's very good. I think it explores society. You know what I mean? So it's without giving too much away. Like what we were talking about before, like certain experiences or certain relationships that you might have had with other people might influence the way people think about you, So it explores all of that stuff. But it's a very good book / play. I think it's going on Broadway very soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Lucky the Broadway audience are going to watch that before some of us do, but it's okay. We'll be waiting.
Yes. Yeah. But that's what I'm reading at the moment. And then reading a couple of other scripts, maybe to do for later.
Fingers crossed, we're going to come out of this soon and we'll be able to do these things in person. But definitely, from my understanding of what you're talking about in terms of where your work is going, you're going to be doing both virtual and physical in-person work as well, even post the pandemic, right?
Exactly.
All right. Great.
Yes.
And which song are you grooving to? Like, which song really gets you going these days?
I've been listening to this guy called Sanal, a South African house guy. I want to try and get his name right because but yeah, I've been listening to a lot of his music. He's a house musician. So so his name is Sanal Musician. But the song that I've been listening to is called Uhuru by him. It's an interesting song. A lot of people pick up the sort of like the revolutionary message inside, but for me, there's
that
a
will be
deeper.
me.
but but there's a deeper element inside, you know. Um, so I'm resonating with that song, right? But right now, his entire collection, I'm listening to it on Spotify. His entire collection for me is really good, because he's in his songs. It's more like he's a storyteller. He tells story through his beats, and then the people that he collaborates with, then they enhance that story somehow, you know. Yeah. So it'd be a very good dancing song, but for me, I'll be listening and be like, oh, okay, what? Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. And I wonder when we're going to be seeing a TikTok video with that song as a soundtrack. I'm pretty sure soon. Or not. No pressure.
Let's see. Yeah. Let's see.
All right.
Yeah.
And what are the two things that you like to eat?
Two things that I like to eat: potatoes and pork. That's it.
And two things that you hate?
To eat.
That you just
Or
hate? Yeah.
hate in general.
Yeah.
One, I hate seafood, because I'm allergic to it. I'll just talk about that food element. And then the second thing is more abstract. I hate I hate people that come into a space and sort of like try and what's the word? Like try and bring down the mood, or try and bring down somebody's energy so that theirs can be on a higher level, because they've come from a place of a higher, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if you walk into a room and we are laughing and all that stuff, and somebody comes in and says, "Oh, Zaza, you're too loud. Why don't you keep it down?" You know, I dislike that. So it's going back again to that whole diminishing somebody's light. So yeah, I don't, if there is no context to it, maybe yes, we're making noise for the next person who's next door who's trying to work. But if you just wanting to come into that space and just try and depress everybody because you just don't like loudness, then you should step out of the room and leave people kind of thing.
If you don't like the heat, stay out of the kitchen.
Yes.
All right. And what are the two things that you love?
Two things that I love. Funny enough, I love gaming. As in video games. I love video games. It's one of the ways that I remove myself from day-to-day struggles and all that stuff. So I love video games. I play video games. And I love to drive. That's it. That's a funny thing. People say walks, I drive, and it's an expensive thing, but it helps me. The route that I usually take is I drive up Samura Machel into Mutare Road, get to where Jaggers or Masasa roundabout, turn into Harare Drive, and take Harare Drive all the way to 2nd Street, come back down 2nd Street, and then to my house. So that's a good maybe 45, 30-minute drive. But it just helps in terms of collecting my thoughts for the day, and stuff like that. Yeah, it's expensive because of fuel, but it's not like I do it every day. I do it maybe once a week.
Okay.
I just do that because, yeah, if I could go out of town, when I would, but that's too much. I need a reason to be going. So when I go to Roots, for example, it's a nice drive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
So those are the two things I like doing. I love.
Okay. And one person you admire the most?
Of course, you, Zaza.
Actually, I wasn't expecting. You see, funny guy. I wasn't expecting that.
I mean,
It wasn't a trick question. It was like, you're not even going to comment anything nice about me. No, it was just a genuine. Who's the one person that you
but
admire the most?
you know what? To be honest, it's quite difficult because
Mm,
to pinpoint one person.
mm-hmm,
I think I would like to say I admire everybody that I work with, I've worked with.
mm-hmm.
If I could name them all, I would. But I think everybody that in fact, yeah, I would like to say I admire the people that I work with and the people that I've worked with. Yeah, let's leave it that way. Even there.
No, it's
Because yeah, because now to be real, every single person, and I'm not saying this lightly, every single person that I've worked with, that have directed me, or that I've acted alongside with, have impacted me in more ways than one. And so every single person has molded me into who I am today.
okay.
Some maybe we're not talking anymore, or there's only one or two, but but
Who are they?
every
Tell
single
me.
person is
No, don't worry about it.
No, I'm joking, I'm
It's not
joking.
the purpose of this interview.
So yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I safe to say I can say everybody that has directed me, that I've acted alongside, have molded me into the person that I am today.
Mhm.
Particularly, I think particularly,
Mhm.
first off, I'd like to say the Theory X group
Mhm.
that were my classmates from Derek,
Mhm.
Ziakwi, Everson
Mhm.
Grove,
Mhm.
Leroy, Precious,
Mhm.
Pilani, all those guys.
Mhm.
Each of them taught me certain aspects about theater
Mhm.
and that I didn't know before because I met them when I was young.
Mhm.
So, like for example, Everson and Derek and Leroy taught me about community-based theater that I didn't know because I didn't I didn't grow up, in community-based theater, in that
Mhm.
traditional sense. The
Mhm.
closest theater to where I was Reps theater, but I even started knowing Reps in 2005, 6. That's when
Mhm.
my first performance was.
Mhm.
But during that time at Theory X, I would go with them to rehearsals or just go. That's where I met Anata Fadzamzondo through Everson, and meeting such people helped me understand not just like the northern side of theater, which is more Western theater, but also like community-based theater where theater is a tool of advocacy, theater is a tool of getting a message out there,
Mhm.
uh, and it's not just NGO based or donor funded, but it's literally getting the message out there of things that are happening inside of homes, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
So yeah, like it's just a very small example of the people that I work with,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
then having now going on the other spectrum, having people like Kevin Hansen, Jamie McLaren, Chipo Chigara, Zane Lucas, Gavin Peter, um, even Danai Gurira, having that side of the spectrum, teaching me another element where, if I were to go outside and perform abroad for something, I wouldn't feel out of place because I would have the basics. I might not know everything, but I'd know what to sort of expect. So yeah, it's difficult. Like, I know I did, but I'm just giving like an example of the two spectrums that came together and molded who I am. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's quite evident in the way you work and the work that you do, in that there is this little phenomenon that I want to call it a big phenomenon, because I think it's now fading, where, like you were talking about, that there's the northern side of theater and then there's the southern side of theater, and mostly people from those sides would never mix. But you
Yeah.
would work with people, whether you're working with people at reps or working with people in the community, or even working with people who are now even doing work at Zimbabwe Human Society, which was also a different kind of space as well. And even theater in the park was also another different kind of space in itself.
Yeah.
So, and I think that is something to be truly admired, because then you're not bogging yourself down to one side of, to one kind of narrative, or to that is quite narrow, I believe. But I think you're now, fully experiencing the life and the making of theater in all the different aspects of it, and making your contributions to that. All right, as
Yeah.
we're rounding up, so what are the 5 things that you would never leave your house without?
My cell phone,
Mm-hmm.
my car keys, because I can't live without the house without my car. um, a notebook and a pen. That's 3. So car keys, my phone, a notebook, notepad, pen, um, a bag to put all those things in.
Like, I've got to reach number 5.
Got to reach number 5, and 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 money, I think. Yeah, just in case I have trouble out there and I run out of fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
I think the first 3 are probably important, and the one that I think I would pick out the most out there is a notebook and pen, because you don't know what you're going to see in everyday society. So, like for example, the funniest thing I ever saw was I was walking in town, and this was like way back. I was walking in town, and there was this couple that were having a conversation, or more of an argument, and it got to the point whereby whereby the lady got so frustrated. Sorry, but she said something like, "Can I underwear or something about taking a kind of?" And I was like, "What?"
That is.
So as a creator,
Mm-hmm.
I remember one thing that I did,
Mm-hmm.
which was part of our Theory X thing, was
Mm-hmm.
to be able to sit and observe.
Mm-hmm.
So I sat in like by Africa Unity Square, and I just sat there and I observed people walking. So people walking up, uh, going their day-to-day business, but you could see the way that they held themselves, and they walked by their step. Some walked with purpose, some walked with their shoulders hunched down, drooping. So you would wonder what was going on in that person's life, and then you sort of start creating a backstory through that. You don't talk to that person, but from the way they're walking, there's a story that's being told. So that's why I would walk around with my notepad and pen.
Okay. All right. That's a fair enough reason, a very compelling enough reason. And I love that story about the woman and her complaint, because just that one line, when you hear that, it's very reflective of a very tenuous relationship, so to speak,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you can almost feel like, from what she's saying, that she's the one who does the giving and he
yeah,
does the taking and nothing else.
yeah,
And the best
yeah.
way she could express that whole frustration was that one sentence, and
That
already,
one thing. Exactly.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. And if you were an animal, what would you be? You can't pick your totem, because I know your totem. you can't pick your totem. If you're an animal, what would you be and why?
A cat. I think a cat because a cat is very it's very comfortable in itself. If it wants to be lazy, it will be super lazy. You can't move it. And if it picks a spot, like it might be your favorite position on the couch, but if it picks that spot and it decides to sit there, you won't move it. And if you move it and you sit there, it will come and sit on your lap. Um, and they can, and they are not, and they don't hold themselves back. If they are angry, they're angry, they'll hiss at you. If they are hungry, they will just keep on meowing until you give them food. Yeah, so I think that's that's sort of me ish. I would have picked my totem, but then you said I shouldn't.
Well, we can now get into your totem because yeah, sure. I know your totem is elephant, Nyamasesa, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I think
okay, the way I would spin this is, what qualities from your totem do you think you have picked? Because I believe, I strongly believe that whatever your totem is, there's certain things about your totem that somehow you get qualities, or you somehow, I don't know.
Yeah. Patience, I think. A lot of people have said to me, Musa, you're a patient guy. And it does take a lot to make me angry or upset me, but at the same time affect one of my own. Like that. You know what I mean? Attack one of my own, just like that. But patience and slow measured, taking my time to digest things before I say anything, which is kind of contrary, opposite to the stuff that I do. But that's what I can pick up from my thought.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and actually, that is true. That is true. Those are the qualities that I also see in you. All right, as we're rounding off, this is our last. Is there anything that you'd want to share with someone who is afraid to shine their light, or who's not sure about what kind of light shining they need to do?
I think one of the things that I've picked up from people, or young people who are trying to get into like the acting industry, etc., is trying to get big quickly. You know what I mean? Looking for fame very quickly, looking for the next viral moment. And if it doesn't happen, they're quick to give up. I mean, people will say that I've made it, but I have not yet made it to where I want to be. And I've been doing this thing for so long, so many years. And um, and if there's something that I would impart, is be patient. Your time will come. Chadwick Boseman did a lot of movies before Black Panther, and we only started knowing about him when he was cast as Black Panther, and he was cast as Black Panther when he was like what, 40 or 40 something, yeah. So and some people got their breakthroughs when they were 40, 50, 45, 50. I was talking to this young man, and he was like, and he's got a car and everything like that. And I was like, and he was like, I haven't made it yet. And I was like, and man, do you know at your age, I was still sleeping in my parents' house without a car, and I was walking everywhere. and you've got a car now, but you're thinking, I want to be where you, and they're always saying, I want to be where you are. I want to be living like this, doing this. And I'm like, I'm 35 years old, man. You are 10 years my junior. If you want to be where I am,
Put in
make
the
the
work.
time. Give the
Put in the
time. Yeah,
work. Put
yeah.
in the work.
You have to, yeah, you can't
Mm,
just expect it to be like, you
mhm,
know?
mhm,
Yes, I agree. Sorry, it's long, but yes, I agree that that we're living in a time where people or youngsters are get this one big idea and they become millionaires,
mhm,
like Facebook guy, you know, Mark Zuckerberg, you know, he's already a billionaire from an idea he did in college. You know, yes, there are people like that, but don't make that your industry, or not industry, but don't make that your standard, because if you don't make it, that's when you'll find that people get into depression and all that stuff. So you just have to be willing to go through trial and error.
mhm,
um, and your time may not be now, your time may be 10, 20 years from now.
mhm.
Yeah.
I love the example that you gave about Chadwick Boseman, because even when you look at the movies that he made some really significant movies before Black
Yeah.
Panther, and they were well done, and he performed brilliantly in those movies. Like he embodied James Brown in Get
Yes.
On Up. He did an amazing
Yes.
job portraying Marshall. Okay, I will not say the name. I'm going to butcher it. Let me not. The yes, the lawyer guy, and he also
Yes.
did a fantastic job portraying Jackie Robinson in
Thank you.
42. Um, and so you can literally see that even if yes, they were not, these movies were not big blockbuster movies, they still
Mm-hmm.
can stand the test of time. And
Yeah.
he was putting in all of that work, trusting the process. And now that he's gone, it has left a legacy of work, a body of work that when you look at it, you're like, wow,
This guy was.
the stamina that this person had to, even when he still hadn't had a big spotlight on him, the stamina that he had to actually trust the process, put in the work and being fully present and doing the work when he turned up. It's something that can only be spoken about in terms of legends. I think that those are my kind of legends,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
And that's, yeah, and that's where you find like Michael Jackson. He's got this all these fantastic albums, but there's a catalog of unreleased stuff somewhere. Even Tupac has
mhm,
got probably catalogs of unreleased stuff somewhere.
mhm,
I
mhm,
know definitely what I know is Prince, the
mhm,
musician, the artist formerly known as Prince or whatever his name is. He's got a catalog of music that hasn't been released yet, and I know there's talk about um, his estate and certain producers talking about how to release that music if they want. But I think
mhm,
he didn't want it released. But yeah, they with Chadwick, you find like all of the movies that you've mentioned going into Black Panther and all these blockbusters. He's left a legacy, and he's left stuff that you can be like, oh, okay, he did all of this. Let me check out what he's done before, and you'll see all of this stuff.
mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I think I hold that standard. Like my time, if my time is meant to come, it will come. Right now, I'll just continue doing and grinding what I can, and if when the opportunity arises, it will present itself.
Mhm. But already you're
Yeah,
doing incredible work, and already
yeah,
you are shining a light on stories that are important to us, that resonate with us, and also that entertain us, that make us laugh, that make us cry, and that that really move us. And I think there's something incredible about that. And yeah, so I think those are really, really, really good words to share with people. Is take your time. Do not waste the time. Take your time. be present, trust the process.
Yeah.
One day it will happen. If
One
you
day
want
it
to
will
be
happen.
that big person.
One
Yeah,
day it will happen. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Musa, thank you so much for, yeah, we've been talking a long time, and
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed talking to you and learning more about some of the things that I wasn't aware of. This is fun for me. I mean, this is absolute fun for me. This interview has been absolute fun for me. Um, and where can people find you if people want to connect with you or see more of your work?
Facebook, Musa Saruro, and then Instagram and TikTok is Musawenkosi 86. That's where I post most of the stuff. My YouTube channel is not yet functioning yet. It's there, but it's not yet functioning. But yeah, those three. That's where they. Oh, and on Twitter you can find me on at Mopaniworm Junkie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. But Twitter, it's more about. I'm going to tell people I'll be tweeting more about football than anything else. So,
Yeah, I would know because I follow you on Twitter. Yeah. Yeah,
yes,
and then
well,
there's a joke, but mostly it's football. And when it's football, I'm like, okay, all right. I don't even know what he's talking about. I just know the teams. I don't know some of these terms, but it's fine. It's okay.
yes, yeah.
Right.
So those
Yeah.
are the socials they can find me. Yeah.
Okay. Great. And is there anything exciting that you like that you're going to be sharing with people soon that people need to be on the lookout for, or is all in the works?
It's all in the works. It's in the works. It's in the works. I don't want to divulge too much. But there is some stuff that I'm working on, that I'm collaborating with people on. Once the speech and drama festival is done, then I will start working on that project. And then once there's some headway, I'll let you know. You'll be the first person to know.
Okay. All right. All right. Great. Thank you so much, Musa. And we're going to stop now.